Marcella Shabaro gave it to me.
Do you use it when you're here very, very late?
No, I haven't.
Have you used it yet?
I haven't used it yet, but I'm like looking forward to it. Okay. Let's start. I know the work today was embedded in annotations, but just problem solving around that.
Mm-hmm.
And like thinking from just what you saw on the page during rapid feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how I want to do the stack audit and daily data burst today. What did you see in kids' annotations, and what was like the main misconception around symbolism?
Sure. So I think students weren't doing the deeper thinking that it took for it to be object equals idea. I think it was like object, what is that object being compared to?
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of them stopped there, and that's where like the back pocket questions came into play. And again, like just pushing myself, not just students, but pushing myself to remind them like, okay, excellent, we just got the answer. Burn books represents the burning of knowledge, the burning of history, and the exertion of control on the part of the people in society. Excellent, go back and write that down. Revoice what's being said as we're writing that down, whoever. Beautiful. Because right now I think annotations are just very literal.
Okay.
Like, oh, it's comparing the birds to a snowy feather, or comparing the birds to a pigeon.
Okay, so it sounds like the gap is super literal.
Mm-hmm.
Annotations are like not fully getting the symbolism to the point of analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you already have the solution of just like batch feedback and immediate revision.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sounds like the misconception that we should kind of like look for as we look into the lesson for Thursday.
Okay.
Just generally on how to push kids from literal to the deepest thinking about each of the lines. Cool. So you have your plan for Thursday, lesson 11, right?
Yeah.
Fab. I have mine.
This is supposed to be a jigsaw as well.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be a jigsaw.
We're gonna talk through all of the elements of the jigsaw and the key diction. I want to start with just like highest level, like what's the purpose of the lesson?
So this is another symbols lesson, which is going to then lend to the mid-unit performance test, where the question is about what does the police car represent in the pedestrian. And so them being able to do this idea of like object equals idea, for a second at bat will show me like how successful they'll be with the pedestrian. And so the goal for this lesson is for them to actually complete the exit ticket in its entirety, still thinking of ways to do both that and the jigsaw as that's group work.
Yep.
But yeah, that's
Great. So that's what I see as the purpose as well. It builds nicely on today's lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you excited to teach it?
I'm excited to teach this because complete sentences. I'm excited to teach this because I feel like this is one of the lessons, if not the lesson, that really points out the transition that happens with Montag, because we notice like at the beginning of the text that the colors like green, like the vibrant black, green, red are used at the beginning when he's describing like this destruction of books in this way that was so beautiful, which was what we talked about when we did the jigsaw the last time. And then now it's like, wait, actually. So I feel like it's gonna be like moment for students. And so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Similarly, like when I look through the plan, I'm excited that there's the opportunity to go back and look at the color imagery, because you read through Clarice and then you get to the description of the old woman's books and you're like, wait, I see a pattern.
Right, I see a pattern here.
And there's like,
or like the description of the firemen versus the way they're talking about the reds, the blacks, and the greens at the beginning of the text.
Yeah, I'm psyched that you're doing it as a jigsaw as well. So let's look at the exemplar itself in the plan. Take a second to reread it, and then just like what makes this exemplar answer the question fully and completely. Yep.
Okay, so this response is exemplar because it mentions the different colors that are used. So the black, reds, greens versus the white. And then with the black, red, and green, we see like the exertion of total control and power on the part of the firemen, which I think will solidify for them, like, we already know that the society values control, the society values power, but who's exerting it? I think we touched on that a little bit today, but in this, it's exemplar because it mentions the fact that it's the firemen, the same ones who are being described with the black brows and the black hair and all these black features. They're the ones who are destructive, and they're the ones who are all powerful and in control. But then there's the Clarices, there's the books, there's that woman who, in their description, you see the white coming up, and it's like, no, this is not that they're just pure, but it's also that they're defying control and power. And it goes back to the essential question of what shapes the human experience, which I think is really dope. I think last year I wasn't able to put the pieces together of how like the lessons went to the essential questions.
Yeah.
But now it's really clear to me, like, what shapes human experience.
Yeah. Great. So like what, first of all, what you're saying is like in both the case of the firemen and the older women, there's a description of an object connected to some kind of commentary about what it symbolizes. In the case of the firemen and the colors of like black, green, and red, the symbolism is what, according to the exemplar?
Destructive power.
Yeah, and then for the like color of white and the like woman whose books are burned in Clarice, this commentary or representation is what?
Defiance.
Great. Look at the assertion. One thing that stood out to me is like how the assertion is literally structured here. Why is this assertion comprehensive?
Because it talks about both parts. So it's a juxtaposition where it's like you see these colors being it's total opposites, and that needs to be drawn out. I think though that can lead to misconception. I don't think I would want students to form it that way. I think it would be something along the lines of vibrant colors represent or symbolize blank, while the color white symbolizes blank.
Great. So what we're seeing is in some way there needs to be contrasting of the vibrant colors and like whiteness, and I agree with you. There are other plausible ways of structuring it. What's the misconception that you think would potentially occur if they structured it like this?
I mean, I think just the language is a little confusing. The colors are used to symbolize while the color white. It's like the color white is a color too.
Yes.
So just being clear of what colors are. What colors are you discussing? So the vibrant colors versus the white, the red, black, and green versus the white. Just clarity around language.
Great. Would you make any tweaks to the overall exit ticket question?
The question itself.
For just for the purpose of clarity there, so that misconception doesn't occur.
What do colors represent? What do vibrant colors represent in Fahrenheit 451 versus what does the color white represent?
I'd make the change.
Okay.
I would just build it out there a little bit more. Great. In that case, we would want to see appropriate evidence pairing, right? So can you synthesize what's the criteria for success for a strong short response to this question?
So when I actually wanted to talk to you about attack the prompt, but right now when I'm having students do it, it's more so the thinking that they're doing as they're looking at the text versus how they're gonna attack the assertion itself.
Okay.
And so right now what I have is 1, state how the color is used, how colors are used, and 2, state the big idea, what do the colors symbolize? But then that's not how it's structured in the assertion. At no point does it say colors are used to describe the firemen, so that's not the order of the assertion. So the way in which the assertion is, how would you suggest I have students like attack that prompt?
So like question back at you, this first piece state how the color is used. Where in the paragraph, in the exemplar paragraph, does this?
In the analysis and in the evidence.
Yeah. And then this is very much in
the assertion.
Yeah, so I just flip the jobs
Okay.
and start pairing asking the question during the ATP, what part of our paragraph will this job live in?
Okay.
What's the benefit of that kind of questioning for them?
Because the jobs aren't happening in a vacuum. It's like, oh no, I'm actually
Yeah.
going to utilize this. I know how